Hello. You guys ready? Our tech team, this is like real-time prototype. We're like, the tech team's still making this thing. No, it's been done since Wednesday, actually. We've just been killing time. Wow. Sing a song. All right, our group is data sonification. The topic, as described, is displaying data in multiple modalities, integrating sonification and visualization of data, other than verbal description of a graph, to provide auditory and visual access to the data review, manipulation, and analysis. So this is a really good follow-on to the group that just spoke, because as you've heard our group referred to during that presentation, we're also going to refer to their work. I need 3 hands. We went through the personas. Well, first of all, on Tuesday afternoon, we had some small group discussions in which we started to discuss the challenge of data sonification. And I will not go through the 4 pages of notes or any spreadsheets, but we will piggyback on your spreadsheets because it's very, very relevant to our work. So we started to frame the challenge, and Wednesday morning, I'll just skip to that, we started talking about the personas that we want to reach. And so this is where I'm going to refer to that very, very useful spreadsheet, because we decided that our primary target for the creation of this interactive was going to be Cynthia, who is blind, and she's our primary target, but we did not want to exclude anyone else. So we decided that in order to simplify the work ahead of us, that we would use Addison for our second persona, because she is deaf and she's 13. And so we decided that if we meet all the needs of Cynthia, and we do not exclude Addison in any way, and we also make Addison very happy, Addison has the privilege of kind of representing our other 1.5 million visitors. So we have Cynthia and Addison and the other 1.5 million. So they're our audience. But that's grossly simplified, and it's great that the last group went into the great detail about how I'd say that all of the persona work that they did is directly transferable to our interactive. So at that point, we came up with 4 basic requirements that our prototype needed to meet. First of all, we decided to focus on the 3 HHL interactives, all of which have data sets that visitors will explore, and you just heard a lot about the definition of exploring data. However, we decided that this particular prototype would meet the following 4 requirements. 1, the visitor should be able to find and understand the meaning of their personal data point, which is a discrete point on an XY axis. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you which 3 HHL interactives. The 3 HHL interactives that we thought had representative data sets for our prototype were the balance interactive, the temperature interactive, and the foot pressure interactive. And so, sorry, now I'm back to the requirements. So the 4 requirements are that they should be able to find their data point and understanding the meaning of their personal data point. Number 2, visitors should be able to explore the last 100 other visitors' data points and make meaning from that data set. 3, visually impaired visitors and all others should have a great experience. And number 4, we as a museum or any representative museum should be able to apply this to any similar exhibit containing this type of data. So, at that point, we broke into 2 groups, and we had a design group that started working on the physical prototype, and a software group that started programming, and have not slept since sometime Tuesday. And I'm going to hand it over. Brad, do you want to talk about the design?
Sure. Where this all came from was basically we were sort of both sides of the table were talking about the same thing. We were both describing the same thing to each other, and we understood where we wanted to go, but we couldn't figure out which direction we really wanted to go. So we decided to go out on the floor and just see some interactives. And right out here is a is a table that has an X and a Y knob slider on it. And we thought that it was rather strange how it was laid out, because it was, you're at the zero, that's falling off. You're at the 0 point out there, so the sliders are sort of close to you and then away from you, like this. And then, so we thought, well, why isn't the orientation more X and Y, vertical, horizontal? So while discussing that and touching it, playing with it, we decided, why don't we create something that does very similar, but have these the horizontal and vertical points stretched out on these rods, that wherever you put the X and Y on the graph, you have an intersecting point. And we thought that's where you find your individual point. We also were looking at making it textural, have texture, so actually the bar graph in the back is raised. And the mice themselves, which are just for ease of creating a model, but they would be a slider mechanism. They have arrows. They have an actual X and Y on them, and they have braille on them. So we just do everything on there, cover our bases. So I think I'm going to turn it over to Sina. Is that the plan?
I think Ben's going to talk a little bit about the sonification before or after the demo. But before we do that, just a couple of other things. If it's not clear or if somebody can't consume it visually. The x-axis, the mouse that travels along the x-axis has a vertical line parallel to the y-axis coming from it, and the mouse that travels along the y-axis has a line parallel to the x-axis coming from it. So that, and you'll see this illustration in algebra classes or in mathematics classes. And let's go ahead and put this down, okay, so as to have it last for at least the demo. And then, and so these lines, the reason that that's important is that once you get to the right point, and we'll show with the demo how you do that. Once you get to the right point, there we go, now I'm in a mic, sorry about that. What happens is that then you can follow your hand from the x-axis and from the y-axis mouse, follow the rods to exactly where the point is on the graph. And so this graph that's underneath is really nice and tactile, and because it's raised, it's a lot faster to find things tactilely than if they were grooves. And so we have like here, for example, just for demo purposes, it's a 12 by 12 square. So you have a lot of different addressable points. And as you're hearing things, you can also be feeling them. So I thought that was really important, this mapping between touching things and hearing them at the same time. And if you get nothing else out of this demonstration, just make sure at the end of it to thank Andrea for these awesome braille dots that are on these arrows.
Thank you, Sina.
So I think the tactile parts that we had, they're not computer based or anything. They're great for the static sort of side of things, right? For being able to display the graph and some of the grid lines that are not going to be changing between the different types of data. But one of our requirements is to have the last 100 data points, and we know that those points will change quite a bit. You have a student group, the age is going to shift, the curve might change a little bit. So we want to be able to provide that, and so we looked at auditory graphs and sonification for that. And I'm just going to give a real brief intro to sonification and what we're doing with it, so you can just kind of interpret it. Or should I leave that for later?
Why don't we do the demo first?
Okay, we'll do the demo first, and we can explain what's going on. That sounds good.
So can I get somebody to do me a favor? Thank you so much.
I'm coming right in. And so the idea here is in the end, what we would have is some absolute positioning tools. So when you're at the bottom left, you're basically at 0, and when you're at the top, you're at the top of the graph. It turns out, mice are kind of relative position indicators, and you take a little bit to calibrate them. So we'll work it out during this particular demo, but I think you'll get the idea. In addition, the idea would be to have 2 of these mice, and that poses its own sort of engineering challenge, but we've been working on that a little bit too. So one of the axes is going to be the Wizard of Oz, just kind of repeated over here on the computer.